Smiley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for November 2022. So welcome to November. We definitely had a rough ride in October. Of course, the main focus was death, rebirth, transformation, and we're carrying those particular topics and themes into November. Why? Because we're still very much in Scorpio season. We are halfway through the eclipse season. And of course, we have a huge change and transformation to make as we set our sights on a brand new reality, brand new elements, brand new topics and themes that we are looking to align with. We have to talk about the fact that November, if we look at the modern day calendar, is the number 11. 11 is a master builder, master manifesting number, which means that we do have the ability to bring a lot of beautifully soul scripted events, topics and themes and elements to life. When we take a look at the old traditional calendar, we see that November is actually the 9th month. 9 actually represents a completion point, an ending point, where it is that we can kind of rise above our physical circumstances, align with our higher selves, with our intuition, and simply observe the comings and goings of our lives, of the spiritual lessons that have been thrown at us, really aligning with the spiritual meaning behind some of the death and rebirth cycles that, of course, Scorpio season has brought front row center. And with the 9, we are looking back, reflective, coming to peace and coming to terms with certain circumstances, whether we like them or not, in order for us to gain perspective. What are we gaining perspective on? On the future. Why are we thinking about the future when we're still stuck in the past? Because Scorpio season strips us down, peels back those layers, removes anything that is blocking us, challenging us from actually stepping into our power and aligning with our soul's mission, our soul's purpose. Whether you believe in the new modern day calendar or the old traditional one, we see some overlapping topics and themes. What we have to consider is that whether we take the number 9 or we take the number 11, what we're looking at here is the cusp, is the precipice of change. So another thing that I would like to just illuminate for you is that November embodies Scorpio season. It also embodies Sagittarius season. Scorpio season is where we sit in the funk, where we sit in the darkness, where it is that we do the death, the endings, the closures to parts of ourselves, to our lives, to our realities that are no longer serving us. It is when we are rebirthing ourselves, resurrecting ourselves, renewing ourselves, like the phoenix that, of course, Scorpio energy is represented by. When we sit in this dark tunnel that is very much needed to do the shadow work, mind you, we see the light at the end of the tunnel, which just happens to be Sagittarius season. Sagittarius season aligns us with a brand new truth. And after sitting in the darkness and peeling the layers back of our false facade, of our ego self, of our shadow self, we are left with a very raw, vulnerable, authentic state. Sagittarian energy, ruled over by Jupiter, mind you, is all about growth, all about expansion, all about your beliefs, and all about the abundance, what it is that you want more of. We had to get very real with ourselves in Scorpio season, and Sag season, holding that light, holding that torch, ushering us out of the darkness, gives us a chance to stand in our truth. We get a whole reboot of optimism, of confidence in Sag energy. Of course, it's a fire energy, so we get that life force energy back, that spark back. And after the death season of Scorpio, it is a very welcomed energy. In Sag season, we set our sights on the greater, grander vision, on the greater, grander goal, on the greater, grander dream that we have now conjured up based off of the very deep transformative energies that have taken place through Scorpio season and through eclipse season. This is why November, regardless of whether you look at it as a number 11 or a number 9, is preparing us for a brand new chapter. We also have to consider that eclipse season, again, very live and well. We actually start November 1st off with the first quarter moon in Aquarius. This is the halfway point, the exact halfway point between the new moon partial solar eclipse that we had in Scorpio energy on the 25th and the full moon total lunar eclipse that we will be having in Taurus energy on the 8th. Now, with a normal moon cycle, the first quarter moon is always a point of realizing what it is that we need to kind of commit to, align with, take action on. There is this overwhelming urge and almost a crisis where we feel compelled, we feel absolutely obligated to align with a path, a decision, a direction so that we can move forward in life. This is definitely going to illuminate a lot of the changes that have taken place, especially within us, in our perspective, in our understanding since the new moon partial solar eclipse in Scorpio, and not quite giving us the full picture, the full tea, if you will, because of course we will get that full illumination with the full moon total lunar eclipse in Taurus. We are also starting November off on a Tuesday. Tuesdays are ruled over by Mars. Mars is the co-ruler of Scorpio season, who just happened to go retrograde in Gemini energy on October 30th. So we're not coming in with a lot of forward motion because, of course, we're at the mercy of eclipse season. We're kind of going with the flow, if you will, having to surrender to the ups and downs, the back and forth motion of the eclipse energy trying to sort us out and get us on the right path. Because Mars is now in a retrograde, we're not taking our energy, our aggression, our passions, our desires, even our anger, out on the external world. Instead, this is an internalized journey, which is going to stunt the physical actions that we are actually able to take out in the world. It's going to block our passions, our desires, and it is going to trigger our anger. You may want to go ahead, go back, take a listen to Mars retrograding in Gemini, to that astro forecast that I put out for October, because we're sitting in this energy well into 2023. This is one of the most important transits that we have in 2022, and it will be kind of giving us a very interesting stage, a very interesting platform to wrap up 2022 and to prepare us for 2023. Side note, interesting factoid, if you will, we came into 2022 with Venus, the feminine divine energy, in a retrograde, and we are ending 2022 with Mars, the masculine energy, in a retrograde. Talk about trying to balance the scales. Try to talk about aligning our masculine and feminine energies within us, and really look and see where it is, especially on the greater, grander collective stage, where it is that we are trying to heal both the masculine and the feminine wounds. So November, although still very, very powerful, is kind of, I'm going to say, quiet in the circumstances of the astro events that are taking place. Now, I hesitate to say quiet because, of course, we are in Scorpio season, which is no joke. We are in eclipse season, which is no joke. However, because we're looking at just the amounts, the quantity of astro events compared to other months, I would deem this semi-quiet. There is going to be a lot of, I'm going to say, inner balancing. I'm going to say inner calibration taking place. We will be sorted out, put on the path, put on the direction that we have to pursue, likely mid-November. Now, keep in mind, eclipse energy takes up to 6 months to actually manifest, actually be brought into fruition here in our physical realms. However, we will start to see the pieces snap together, and especially once we start moving into Sagittarius energy, we are going to start seeing the bigger picture actually form. The direction that we need to take actually unfold before us. And of course, because we are highly intuitive and super sensitive coming into November because of Scorpio season and eclipse season, we are relying very heavily on our intuition and on our higher selves. So, with that being said, we do have the full moon total lunar eclipse in Taurus taking place on November 8th. Now, this is going to kind of close the door on the eclipse energies for this particular season. This is the last eclipse season that we will experience in 2022. This is almost like the third and final chapter of the book that we began back in the fall of 2021 when the Scorpio and Taurus axis actually got ignited, activated, triggered by the nodes of the moon. This is why we're having this particular spiritual life lesson thrown at us on, what needs to die, what needs to end, what do we have to put an ending to in order to have the space to actually build something new. Scorpio energy deals with the shadow realm of our experience, of our unconscious self, and recognizing where some of those energy blockages have been actually preventing us from aligning with a new level of self-love, self-worth, a new level of relationships, healthy relationships with like-minded people. And of course, really put us in a position to tap into our skills, our talents, our resources. This particular full moon event is going to be jacked up. If you had a hard time with the new moon, partial solar eclipse in Scorpio on the 25th of October, you might want to prepare for this one. This is a total lunar eclipse. This is going to definitely rock us, of course, in all the right ways, even though it might not feel so pleasant at the time of its activation. We have a very busy time under this eclipse energy. We have a lot of key factors, key players. Mercury's involved, Venus is involved, Uranus is involved. Of course, the nodes of the moon are involved. That's what gives us our eclipse energy. And of course, Saturn, Mr. Karma himself, is very involved in this particular full moon as well. This is definitely going to show us where it is that we have to get back to the basics and we have to get a little bit grounded, a little bit more logical and practical in what it is that we want to build, what it is that we want to bring to life. Of course, more aligned now with our values, with what we deem to be important to us, and most of all, who we actually deem to be of worth and value to share this particular life, this experience, our love, our attention with in life. This is a reorg. And especially seeing how we've had a serious reorg in our relationships since Libra season, this will definitely be a little bit of a glimpse on who is coming with us and who is not. We fast forward to mid-November when Venus, the goddess of love and beauty and worth and pleasure and money, moves out of Scorpio energy, which is her downfall, if you will. She's had to sit in the shadow element of her thoughts, of her feelings, of her passions, of her desires, of her fears. And now moving into Sag, keeping in mind that Sag always is the light at the end of the tunnel, we are definitely raising our vibrations. We are shaking the funk of the darkness. We are emerging as a bright, beautiful version of ourselves. We definitely want to let our hair down, have a little bit of fun, and we're definitely going to have that particular aspect in play when Venus moves into Sag. We're very playful in our romantic situations. We are definitely more straightforward. We can actually get ourselves in trouble if we're not using a filter, if you will, because we just want to speak our truth. We have been stripped away of a lot of the lies, a lot of the delusions that, of course, we had to be illuminated to in Scorpio energy. And now we know what we want. We know what we need. We know what we desire. We also know where it is that we have created blocks within our path of actually achieving those particular wants, needs, and desires. Again, we have a brand new truth. We have a quest for meaning, for purpose. And our priorities are constantly shifting as we move throughout the zodiac wheel. But you best believe that we are a lot more positive, a lot more optimistic about what it is that we actually want to align with and experience, especially when it comes to our relationships and who it is that we're actually sharing our time and our energy with. We definitely feel the vibrations, the frequencies rise with that fire energy of Sag. And one thing we do have to obviously look out for is that we're not going balls to the walls. We can be a little bit extra, highly dramatic in this particular energy. We're unfocused, we're scatterbrained, we're all over the place. We kind of want to dabble in all the different experiences that we can possibly, dive into, but we're also kind of overly optimistic and confident, which could put us in a reckless situation or a careless situation with our money and with our heart space. So we are going to have to be careful, as we are with every single transit that we go through. However, all of these personal planets moving out of the Scorpio energy and moving into Sag energy, they're all going to be a favorable shift because we're moving out of the dark depths of the Scorpio emotional and intuitive waters, the shadow realm, and we are essentially flying high with a new perspective, a new rebirth, a new renewal, a brand new truth in the Sag energy. So just the day after, on the 17th, we actually have Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, moving out of Scorpio and moving into Sagittarius. So this is kind of big thoughts, big ideas. We are scatterbrained again in the Sagittarius energy. We want to definitely pursue anything new, anything exciting. We feel like we've been born again. We have different interests that we may not have even turned a blind eye to in previous months. And as far as our mind space goes, yes, we're thinking more optimistic. We're thinking a lot bigger and grander in terms of what it is that we actually want to set out, learn, experience, and accomplish. And because this is Sagittarian energy, where our higher self, our philosophical and spiritual beliefs are concerned, we're definitely more renewed in our faith. We want to believe in new beliefs. We want to really just kind of give the benefit of the doubt to every single person that we are encountering, and of course the universe, on trying to make good with what we kind of seem to look at as a lot of bad that has taken place. And we're just trying to open up our heads and open up our minds. We're definitely going to be hella curious with this particular energy. We have a lot of questions and we really crave a lot of truth, a lot of answers. And because we're kind of tapped into this spiritual and philosophical energy of Sagittarius, we really want to throw ourselves into new concepts, really challenge those concepts to see what resonates with us now. Of course, we just went through a death, a rebirth, a transformation. So we're open at this point. We've had a lot to process, and we are just open to seeing what it is that piques our interest and what it is that we actually align with as far as our truth goes and our experience goes, our faith goes, our beliefs go, if you will. Of course, there's always a con side. There's always a struggle or a challenge in every single transit and energy. And the downside to Mercury, of course, being in Sagittarius energy is that we don't have a filter. First of all, we are just blunt. We are straightforward. We are to the point, which sounds like a great thing, except for the fact that speaking truth without a filter has the tendency to hurt a lot of people's feelings. Even if it is the truth, there is a little bit of grace, a little bit of tact that we need to kind of use in order to speak our truth, to have it well received. There's also a downside because we are so scatterbrained. We kind of have that squirrel mentality with Mercury in Sag that we don't pay attention to the details, and that can get us in a lot of trouble. We are a little bit too focused on kind of creating the biggest dream or the biggest project or the biggest idea that we overestimate how much energy, effort, how much work it would actually take to be successful. So although we know that Capricorn season comes right after Sag season, which grounds us out and brings us back down to earth and kind of minimizes the great big dreams, the great big goals that we align with in Sagittarius energy, I'm going to say, you know what? Throw yourself in dreaming the biggest dream that you could possibly dream. Throw yourself into the big ideas. Just know that they're going to have to be compressed. They're going to have to be revised. They're going to have to be kind of, I'm going to say, minimized to fit a logical, practical schedule on what is actually able to be brought to life. So just go into Sagittarius season riding this wave of optimism and confidence and big dreams, big ideas. Just don't be disappointed when we have to kind of compress them and make them a little bit more manageable when we move into Capricorn season. So on the 22nd, we have the sun moving into Sag season. And of course, the sun shining a bright light on what it is that we have to learn, what it is that we have to embody in Sagittarius season in order for our souls to evolve. So the whole focus, of course, coming out of Scorpio waters is on what it is that we want to do from here. We have a brand new truth. We have a brand new perspective. We have a brand new understanding. We are excited about life again. We have a quest and an adventure we'd like to go on. And we are really just trying to reconnect with the world. You know, if we look at Scorpio season as the want, need, and desire to connect with one person, to reach new levels of intimacy within ourselves and within our personal relationships, then Sagittarius energy is where we step outside of those personal relationships and we just want to see how we relate and how we interact with the world once again. We want to connect with something that is far greater, far larger than just ourselves and our personal relationships. And of course, the sun is a fire energy. Sagittarius is a fire energy. It's a mutable sign, which means that we're constantly changing with the new information being presented to us. And because we just went through Scorpio season where we stripped away a lot of the shadow elements in order for us to stand in our raw, authentic selves, now it's time to experience what it is that we actually want to build upon in our understanding, in our awareness about spiritual beliefs, about philosophy, about some of the reasons of why bad things happen to good people. And mostly, we just want to take a good look around and see how our perception of the world around us has changed. The fire energy always brings a little bit of excitement back to the realm of existence. We are bold, we're brave, we want to push the boundaries of our comfort zones, we want to push the boundaries of our experience, we want to see the possibilities that actually await us if we were to choose to leave our comfort zones and actually dabble into brand new territory. We get a lot of confidence, we get a lot of optimism from this Sag energy, of course, because Jupiter is its ruler. We are focused on the big picture, again, dreaming a big, big, big dream. And we are just kind of bored of, the same old, same old. We want to add a little bit of spice to life, if you will, but just keep in mind that we always tend to overdo it, bite off more than we can chew, overcommit. We tend to overwhelm ourselves in the Sagittarius energy. Just keep in mind that when we move into Capricorn season, we will be grounded out, brought back down to earth, be a little bit more logical and practical with our ideas, with our, I'm going to say, wants, needs, and desires. And we will have to kind of acknowledge where it is that we went a little bit too big. On the 23rd, we have the new moon taking place in Sagittarius energy. If you haven't realized already, this is a huge shift for us, moving out of Scorpio waters, moving into Sag. Now, this new moon in Sag is taking place at a 1 degree. So this is practically a brand new cycle and kind of setting us up for the next 2.5 years of working and building upon the intentions that we're setting for ourselves under this new moon in Sag. So when we go back to last year's new moon in Sagittarius, it was actually a solar eclipse. And that was because we were finishing out the whole spiritual lesson on the Gemini and Sagittarius axis that actually kicked off the Great Awakening in 2020. It was all about information and how information is constantly changing our beliefs. And we had the new moon in Sag, that solar eclipse, this time last year. And that was kind of the ending, if you will, of that particular life lesson. And that's when we began the Scorpio and Taurus axis. So compared to this time last year, this one is more of a normal new moon, let's say. But what we're focused on is what it is that we want to experience from here, especially with what it is that we want to try to understand, what it is that we want to have a different perception about, what it is we want to set our sights on, what it is that we need to kind of gain more, I'm going to say boldness and bravery and courage and confidence and optimism in order for us to push ourselves out of our comfort zone and actually explore life from a different set of eyes. We've gone through a lot. We are no longer who it is that we've always been. We are this new version of ourselves, standing in a brand new truth, standing in a brand new life force energy with a brand new reality to experience. And now we are setting kind of our to-do list down on what it is that we want to experience and how we want to learn these particular lessons. Now, we have to keep in mind that things are big, things are dramatic. We're a little bit all over the place. We're going to have a hard time focusing. Keep in mind that Sagittarius energy is ruled over and symbolized by the archer. And the archer has to have a defined target before we let go of that arrow. And the hardest part in Sagittarius energy is trying to figure out what that target actually is. And we're going to experience a lot of big thoughts, big ideas, big passions, big desires, because again, Jupiter rules over this particular new moon. And although it is pushing us outside of our comfort zone to think about the possibilities of the future that we would like to explore, again, it can be very overwhelming. We can bite off more than we can chew. We can be a little bit extra, a little bit over dramatic. We can set our sights on too big of a target. We have to refine our intentions and our goals, if you will, and that will likely be the hardest part. So on the same day, which is just wild, the 23rd, just hours after that new moon in Sag ruled over by Jupiter, we actually have Jupiter going direct. If you may remember, Jupiter crept back into those Piscean waters at the end of October, and we have Jupiter going direct at 28 degrees in Pisces. So Jupiter is about growth and expansion, beliefs and blessings. And in this Pisces energy, it kind of gave us a little bit of a timeout to refresh ourselves, our soul, our spirit, to redefine what it is that our goals, our dreams actually are, to reconnect with our higher selves, our soul, our spirit, in order to act authentically in moving forward. Now, there is another angle here. Jupiter, especially about growth and expansion, about our beliefs, about blessings and abundance at this 28th degree in Pisces, is said to be perfecting, mastering certain skills, certain understandings, certain perspectives that many of us began back in 2020. And at a 28 degree in Pisces, these are the critical crisis degrees of any sign. And in Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac, you best believe that we are going to get a redo. We are going to get a fresh start. What am I talking about? Well, we have Jupiter going direct. From now until the 20th of December, the day before the winter solstice, we will have Jupiter perfecting and mastering these qualities and characteristics in this Piscean energy, where endings and beginnings are ruled over. Spiritually, emotionally, healing, transformative, right? And then on the 21st, we have Jupiter re-entering into Aries energy. We entered into Aries energy on May 10th of 2022. So this is a redo. This is a fresh start. We get to reflect back on what it is that we tried to bring to life, what it is we tried to kind of pursue from May until October of 2022. We get to examine what it is that didn't work out so well for us, and we get to do it again. And this, again, is setting us up for a beautiful platform, a beautiful stage to operate from as we move into 2023. So that is November's energy in a nutshell. I'm going to recommend that you go ahead, you sign up to my Patreon so that you can access all 12 zodiac forecasts for November so that you can explore your big three and get a perfect big picture on what it is that you can expect to take place in the areas in your life that will be most impacted. And of course, if you're not down with being a Patreon member, you can head over to my website and download your big three individually from there. I do recommend that you do everything that you can to stay ahead of the energy, to have as much information and knowledge and resources and wisdom within you as possible so that you don't get taken off guard when we start moving through some of these astro transits. So that was just the intro. Now let's break it down one astro event at a time.